What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and one and only James Williams, Dog Waters, and I'm back, and I'm going to need you to hit the like button so we can get into this video. We're picking up where we left off yesterday, and this ain't no short bus ride. You're going to be here for about 30, 45 minutes. So if you need to go use the bathroom, go ahead and pause it and use it now. If you probably in the middle of doing something, you don't have time to listen, just wait till later, because we're going to be here for a while, because I'm about to break some things down. Hit the like button, let's roll. Hold on one second. We about to get to the bottom of this, ladies and gentlemen. This don't make no sense whatsoever. Welcome to the Dog Waters channel, where we explore mysteries, figure out the truth, dive into politics, and anything else you want to know about. That's what we doing over here, baby. Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and one and only James Williams is back, and I happen to pop back into the office because there's a whole bunch of work I need to do. I need access to printers and everything else. And we're about to get into the news. Now, I'm going to say a couple of things to you before we get started. I tried to outline in our last video what our true opponent is in this battle that we have. And these opponents are the pawns of the deep state. So we have what I would call the terrorist organization, Free Palestine. We have the LGBT community. We have the wokeism that is plaguing America. These are the opponents. Now, if we were to look above them, we should put like an all-seeing eye above them, because that would be the deep state. In this manifestation of warfare that we're fighting right now is on all fronts, and we're seeing it on all fronts. And it's okay that it's on all fronts. Because the truth has to come out and people need to see the truth. So now let's venture into the news. There's something I need to update on this. This is a very key point that we need to update. And I might as well start with this. So we know that we recently had the Ukrainian army bomb the Russian nuclear fighter jets or nuclear bomber planes. And Lindsey Graham came out and commended Ukraine on doing a good job and said that Russia was crippled in their ability to fight nuclear war. That was the dumbest, most stupid, most ignorant thing I've ever heard. And I want to bring back to your memory the bombs that Russia was dropping on Ukraine that were falling out of the sky that they showed footage of, which looked like alien spaceships. It looked like something from Avengers movie where Thanos was bombing the Avengers headquarters. Remember how they just like foof, 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 foof. And if you recall, at that point in time, Vladimir Putin came out and he said, hey, we have missiles that can get from here to Europe in 10 minutes, and you can't stop those missiles. I want to say it was something like Orion. It was some crazy name of the missile. And so we clearly have deep staters who are fighting to bring us into World War III. It's a terrifying time. If you're paying attention to this time period, ladies and gentlemen, it is a time period where you should be prayerful about what's going on, because you have people who want to see America destroyed. Now, whatever deals they think they have, whatever underground bunkers they think they're going to go into, it's the dumbest thing on the planet. Because I know that if you start World War III and it's a nuclear fallout and I survive in somehow, shape, or form, and the Lord says, hey, I'm going to leave you alive, my whole life, whatever's left, is going to be spent hunting you down. I don't care if you're underground. I don't care if you're in the sky. I'm getting to you. And I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of awake human beings at that point in time that know that their enemy did this, and they will know who the enemies are. So this is a foolish endeavor, but fools embark on foolish endeavors. Steve Bannon calls for Senator Lindsey Graham to be prevented from returning to the U.S. from Ukraine or be thrown in prison. I would have to agree with Steve Bannon on this one.
I don't understand how you could want to jail a U.S. senator because he's saying something you don't like. Because that sounds like the worst of the deep state.
No, it's absolutely what he's doing. What he's doing over there right now is stirring it up. He's giving the Ukrainians.
But it's not illegal.
He's giving the Ukrainians false hope. He's giving Ukrainians false hope that we're there to support them on engaging Russia in a kinetic conflict, and we are not. President Trump,
so maybe he's wrong.
President Trump. Hey,
so maybe
Lindsey
he's
Graham,
wrong. But what do you say? Throw him in jail.
Two things ought to happen. Either cancel his passport and don't let him back in the country, or put him in jail if he comes back. Lindsey Graham is stirring it up right now. And people better wake up to the fact that we're getting sucked into this war.
I think Steve Bannon is 100% correct in what he's saying. And we're at a point now where, and I need you to understand why Lindsey Graham feels he can get away with this. You see, Lindsey sees that there's a gap, a window where there were Democrats who were indicted, but they haven't been arrested, right? And so Lindsey feels like him and Senator Blumenthal, because it was Senator Blumenthal that went there as well. If you don't know who Senator Blumenthal is, he is the premier deep stater. They feel like they won't be touched. And it's like having that bully that runs around and does stuff, and he's never had hands put on him. And because he's never had somebody put hands on him, he thinks you won't put your hands on him. In his mind, man, you ain't going to touch me. You ain't going to do nothing to me. And then when them hands get laid on him, God forbid you got to put something worse on him, then in that last moment, when that pain is hitting, when the blood is spilling, you see that fear in that person's eyes. And it's, oh, Jesus. Oh, Lord, help me. Jesus, help me. No, Jesus, no. And then at that point in time, it's too late. It's too late for him to help you because you ignored him the whole time. Now you've been turned over into the hands of a bloody man. And it's quite frankly, it's about time that these people get turned over into the hands of the bloody hands of justice, whether it be prison, whether it be, some type of accident. But as long as we have people in the United States of America that's going to work against the best interests of the American people and try and bring us into war, which is nothing more than bringing us into destruction, we have some major problems on our hands. Sorry, Lord, this is all out of shape over there. We have major problems on our hands, and we need to deal with them. And so essentially they're calling Trump's bluff. They don't understand they're calling the American citizens bluffs. And they think they're going to drive us into World War III on behalf of Ukraine and Russia. And I'll say this, I don't think anybody on the planet wants to fight in a Ukraine war against Russia. All over Europe, people are rebelling, saying, no, we're not going to fight that war because it don't make no sense for us to fight the war. And eventually, guys, what we're going to see is we're going to see those people being drug out into the street one way or the other if they don't stop. We're going to see people literally dragging these people out into the street. You think January 6th was something? You ain't seen nothing. See, everything that's going on right now is the process of holding back the inevitable. And that's what they're doing. They're doing their best to hold back the inevitable where they're going to face the consequences for their actions. And that's what it boils down to. All right, let's move on to the next article I think is very, very important. We're going to go here. We're going to get Scott Jennings on CNN. And this is a part of this triune organization that is here. That's the Free Palestinian Movement, the LGBT movement, and the woke movement. There are three individual movements. And there's another movement, but it's a subsection of the Free Palestinian movement, which would be the Islamic movement in the nation. And that's all it is an Islamic takeover disguised as the Free Palestinian movement. But let's go to Scott Jennings. So Scott Jennings is going to break down something that it's known but not acted on. And you wonder why the Free Palestinian protests happen in certain places and other places they don't happen. There's a specific reason for that, because in other places they're not going to allow for it. So you won't see it in Louisiana. You're not seeing it in Texas. You're not seeing it in Mississippi. You're not seeing it in Alabama. You're not seeing it in Florida. You're not seeing it in Tennessee or the Carolinas. You're only seeing it in blue areas. Why? Because they're going to do these things in their strongholds where they're tolerated. So CNN, Scott Jennings, the Free Palestinian Movement is a domestic terror organization. I've said this, and it is domestic terror. It's Islamic domestic terrorism. You may say, well, man, those people are not Islamics. No, they're not. but it's a movement that's being provoked by them. And the worst thing about it is the force that's behind it is the Chinese Communist Party. So the Chinese Communist Party is using Islam as a glove and smashing into America. Never mind the fact that we know they have sleeper cells that are Iranian, that are ISIS, that are Chinese in this nation. We ain't even got to the point where we started dealing with the sleeper cells. We got our first indication of it just recently with this article where this man right here came out and started murdering people. This was your first sign of it. The guy in Colorado. He was your first indication of the activation of the sleeper cells. And the craziest thing is that's being hidden and masked and protected by liberal white women, which are woke women. And we have an example of it with the Democratic councilwoman who incites a mob, assaults and obstructs illegals who beat up her pregnant daughter. So they're obstructing ICE. This is where the concept of this union comes in, because these women are being used to protect them. Let me go back to Scott Jennings and let me stay focused. So let me get to Scott. Here's Scott Jennings.
Well, I mean, this is horrific. And what more do we need to see, Jake, before we realize this Free Palestine movement is nothing more than a domestic terror organization right now? I mean, we had the killings in Washington a couple of weeks ago. We have this issue in Colorado. We've seen, the activities on college campuses now for months and months and months and months. The rise of anti-Semitism in America, the rise in the number of people who have come to America who hold anti-American views, anti-Western views, and anti-Semitic views and are now willing to act on it. It is absolutely outrageous. And I think as a society, we need to understand we are dealing with domestic terrorism. It's growing more violent by the day. And if we don't deal with it, these kinds of things are going to keep happening in cities all over the place. It's awful. And we need to come to grips with the fight that we're in right now in America, a fight for the future of our country and the future of Western civilization, in my opinion.
And Scott is right. This is the fight for America. And it's a very well put together plan. When you really look at it, I mean, it's a super well put together plan. When we descend down in this diagram, you'll see other aspects of the plan, but they all fall underneath this, right? So, for example, I just talked about how wokeism and woke liberal women, white women, are defending this, right? You go to Greta Thunberg. You got to remember, Greta just got started, right? Greta came out as a kid raging against climate change, but it's wokeism. And, I mean, full-on Hitler in the face, Greta Thunberg. She goes over to Gaza to protest the freeing of Palestine. Teary Swedish climate doomer Greta Thunberg joined 11 anti-Israel activists Sunday afternoon to set sail for Gaza on a mission to stop live stream genocide in the disputed territory. The AP reports the cruising yacht Mandaline, operated by activist group Freedom Flotilla Coalition, began its voyage from Sicily port of Catalina in southern Italy with the professed intent of defeating the Israel illegal and genocidal blockade. It is claimed to be supplying urgently needed supplies for the people of Gaza, including baby formula, flour, rice, diapers, women's sanitary products, water desalination kits, medical supplies, crutches, and children's prosthetics. Next stop is planned to be Gaza Strip in an effort to deliver aid and raise international awareness, the activist said at a press conference ahead of her departure. So we have Greta Thunberg. Now, if you don't understand that Greta Thunberg clearly is the next generation of deep state operatives or an actor of the deep state, then I don't know what to tell you. You're naive. But she's the perfect one to use. Because if something happens to Greta Thunberg, it's going to end up bad. Oh, somebody hurt her. She was the perfect weapon to use, a loudmouth, ugly kid that you really couldn't say anything to because you'll be arguing with a kid. No adult could argue with a kid, right? When she was younger. She's getting to the age now where Greta Thunberg is going to start getting the pushback that she needs to get. It's the only reason why she survived that young age of being such an activist is because the average person of goodwill will not attack a child. This is where I would say that conservatives differ from liberals. And in many cases, I would say we shouldn't. And I'll bring it to your remembrance. Remember the little boy who was at the Trump speech in Congress, the little black dude who had brain cancer, right? You remember how the liberal media treated him? How the liberal media treated that young man, that kid. The media, conservative media, didn't treat Greta Thunberg like that at all. They should have, in my opinion, because she's a weapon. But the conservative party hasn't matured to the point, and I say matured to the point to where we understand that a weapon is a weapon is a weapon is a weapon. It's no different than being on a battlefield where you're in Afghanistan and a 12-year-old boy pulls a shotgun on you. You're going to have to deal with that 12-year-old boy with that shotgun because he'll pull a trigger and kill you. And so people like Greta Thunberg have been allowed to survive politically and in the realms of influence. They're maturing to the point to where they're going to be a problem. But the whole reason why I bring her up, and I don't want to lose the point here, the whole reason why I bring Greta Thunberg up is because it's important to understand that Greta Thunberg is a liberal, woke individual. And that's the connection here. It's the full-on connection. When you look everywhere, it's wokeism, it's LGBT, and it's Islamicists that are moving. Now, watch this. Let's go to what the people in God. No, let's go to see what happens in a nation when you get to the point to where this triune head, kind of like their own Godhead, begins to take over. Blasphemy law, man convicted for burning Quran during London protests. Britain's liberal-leaning judiciary has effectively created a new blasphemy law, as free speech campaigners argue, after a man was convicted of crime for setting fire to a Quran in London earlier this year. Hamid Koskum, 50, a Turkish-born Armenian Kurdish atheist who migrated to Britain, was convicted on Monday of a religious aggravated public order offense over a February protest in which he set fire to a Quran outside the Turkish consulate in London. Now, let's be real. In London, they burned churches. Islamicists have burned churches. But he can't burn their Quran. And I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to say this. You see, the Christian community is going to have to grow up, because Christians spend so much time attacking each other. Like there's these expose videos of this Christian exposing this person and this person saying this about this. We spend all this time attacking each other. These Islamicists have a plan, and they're enacting their plan. I don't know if you remember, but the mayor of London is a Muslim. Yeah, I don't know if you guys recall this, but he's a Muslim. They have a plan, and they're enacting their plan for world domination. And unfortunately, the brand of Christianity that we have right now, which is not the Church of Acts, is just not that, is so watered down that people don't understand that it's war. It truly is war. People don't even understand that when you were baptized, you were brought into a spiritual war. You were translated from the kingdom of darkness to the kingdom of light. So you got baptized and everything started coming after you because you entered into a battlefield. So that battlefield manifests in the natural realm, and it lays out right in front of us, but nobody pays attention to it. The reason I believe why you guys watch this channel, outside of all the little funny stuff that I do, is because we talk about these things from this perspective. And it's important that we hold these conversations. It's important that Christians understand, hey, man, there was a group that was trying to build a whole entire Sharia law city in Texas. I'm pretty sure it was north of Dallas, an entire Sharia law city. The governor came out and nixed that in the bud. But if you look around, you'll see every time a church closed down, Muslims buy it and they turn it into a mosque. Have you ever asked yourself the question, where they get the money to do that from? I mean, have you ever really asked yourself that question? And then let me ask you another question. If we are aware of the fact that there's a war going on, and it's a spiritual war, and it's conquering by taking territories and building altars, because that's what every church is, an altar. And how come Christians aren't saying, oh, well, that church closed down, we're going to go by that church? I don't care if we board it up, but you ain't going to get it. How come there's Christian, like, philanthropists who not just buying them? Because we don't understand that it's a war. And so this gentleman is getting prosecuted for burning a Quran. But at the same time, one of the most oldest historic churches in Europe burned down. I mean, the church burned to a crisp. Didn't burn until after all the migrants or illegals came into that nation. We haven't really seen that in America. And I'll tell you why we haven't seen it in America, because quite frankly, it'll get to the point to where there'll be some shooting and some stabbing and some cutting. But see, when we get to that point of shooting, stabbing, and cutting, it's done got too far, because we don't need to get to that point. You can deal with it legally, lawfully, and economically if you're paying attention. Let me get back to the chart. All right. So we have that report. And I want to remind you guys what the culture is of these people. All right. Ex-UFC great Khabib, however they pronounce his name, sparks controversy by not shaking hands with female sportscaster. Now, and this is something I'm going to say to liberal American women. You guys are used to the chivalry of American men. Used to being treated as equals with American men. But you don't understand, your liberalism is inviting something in that's horrific for you. And this is one of the signs of it. But because the average woman, liberal woman, is in full-on rebellion against the men of the nation, when this kind of stuff happens, she's surprised. But no, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Wow. How was everything?
Wow.
How are you guys?
You okay?
Legends here.
We got Khabib.
How are you, sir?
Nice to meet you.
Very nice.
Welcome to the show. Apologize. Thank you so much.
How are you?
Habib, the UFC fighter, it is a pleasure to have you. We didn't know you were here.
This guy, me,
Yeah, I
you.
was.
You're a big PSG fan.
Yes.
Always have been? Lifelong?
Honestly, since when I was a kid, I was Real Madrid fan.
Okay.
Since 1998, when I watched first Champions League final with my father, when Predrag Mijatovic scored against Juventus.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
But last 6-7 years, I come almost every match of PSG, and I support my brother Nasser, and that's why I'm
Very
here.
good.
Very cool.
Very good.
Respect it.
And I was, and this guy a little bit broke my heart.
Why? When did I do that?
2006, when he played against Real Madrid.
Oh, with Arsenal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's okay. I hope you're not too upset.
No.
Okay, thank you.
You're elite at what you do in fighting. Can you play football? How are your skills?
My skills from 9 or from 10? From 10,
Okay.
9.
Huh?
From 10, 9. my
Oh, you
skills.
give yourself a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Where do you play on the pitch?
When I was young and when we grow up, strongest guy play like forward. You know, weakest guy, he stay on goalkeeper.
Now, here's what I find amazing. Now, you notice she didn't go all super duper liberal. She pulled the hand back and said, oh, I'm sorry. Because she understands there's a cultural difference there. And it's a submissiveness to these men that most men will not experience. And there's a reason why there's a submissiveness there. Because they know in that culture, they'll beat you upside your head. And they know inside of that culture, beating you upside your head is okay. Yeah, it's okay to go upside your head. In our culture, it's not okay to go upside your head. But in their culture, it's okay to go upside your head. So she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And see, this is what we're inviting into America. And this is what's infiltrating America right now. And nobody wants to say anything about it. Everybody wants to act like it's cool until they start going upside women's heads. And then this is when women will start respecting men again in America. When they start going upside your head and then random men have to come in and get them off that ass. That's when you're going to start respecting them. But the problem is that random man who has to come in and get him off that ass that man's going to pay the price for your rebellion. He's going to pay the price for your rebellion. He's going to pay the price for your wokeism, your feminism, and your liberalism, and you still never pay the price because of the chivalry that's in American men, which is nothing more than the spirit of God that rests over this nation. So we ain't going to let nobody just beat you to death. We ain't going to let nobody just assault you and do anything to you. But when we take that man's life, which that man's life will be one hard life to take, honestly. But when you take that man's life on the behalf of you, you ain't paid the price for your concepts and ideals. You can still keep them same stupid concepts and ideals and morals. And I'm not trying to bash women. Don't get me wrong, ladies, if you're listening to me. I'm not bashing you. The point I'm making is we have this problem, and it needs to be articulated that it's a problem. Because if it gets to the point to where the ultimate price has to be paid, that price will be blood. And y'all ain't going to pay that price. You're just not going to pay it. You're not going to pay it. While simultaneously, you got the girl who was like the mayor of Dalton. Simultaneously, you got Letitia James. Simultaneously, you got all these different Kathy Hochul and all these different crazy, radically leftist-minded women in position of power, instituting laws and regulations that's going to bring men into war. Not across seas, into war here in this nation while they sit back and hide. It's why in the Bible it says that when the Lord curses you, he puts women over you. It's how you can tell. You can literally tell which states are cursed. You can tell which cities are cursed by who's mayor, who's governor, who's in Congress and in Senate. You can tell if you know spiritual law. I'm doing good today, keeping myself calm. You know, I'm trying not to spaz out and go too crazy, because when you really get into this, man, it gets utterly disgusting. So we have our hierarchy here, right? And we have all the events that fall underneath this attack. And for somebody who may say, well, hey, I don't think what you're saying is true. We'll just go down. We'll go down. We'll just drop down, right? And we'll go into some of the things. Everything that the mainstream media is covering and protecting has to do with that. So we got open borders, right, which is directly involved with the Free Palestinian movement and bringing in illegal aliens, right? We have the media covering up for the murders of people coming across the border. You have 7 in 10 women fear walking home at night because sex crimes in Italy, because sex crimes have surged, right? We have the Democratic Party, which is the sellout party, in full disarray and going through destruction. We have the Democratic Party over here putting up fights for illegal aliens, which is what we went through last month. We have the Summer of Rage psychological operation, which I explained to you yesterday. This combination of people here are going to be what manifests your Summer of Rage. This is where your Summer of Rage is coming from. They have yet to get the Black American community involved into the Summer of Rage because they, quite frankly, haven't been able to get an incident that would qualify to get them involved. So your Summer of Rage is coming from this segment of people here. I'll show you some positive news that I think is very, very important, which may not be on the board, but I should be able to get to it real quickly. I haven't seen this. I need to read this. Musk blasts. Musk turns on Trump, calls the president's big, beautiful bill disgusting abomination. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk criticized President Donald Trump's one big, beautiful bill and declared the bill a pork-filled congressional spending bill and disgusting abomination. I'm sorry, but I can't stand it anymore. Musk wrote in X post, this massive, outrageous pork-filled congressional spending bill is the disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong, Musk added. You know it. Musk's criticism of the bill comes as House Republicans voted 215 to 214 in May to pass the tax and spending, which contained numerous elements of Trump's far-reaching agenda. The multi-trillion-dollar tax break package contains numerous elements of Trump's far-reaching agenda and has been delivered via an all-night session. Musk, I'm sorry, but I can't just stand it anymore. Massive outrage, outrageous pork, shame on those who voted for it. I would like to get more context of that. And in my opinion, this may be, I can understand where he's coming from. He spent all this time cutting government spending, and they're probably reinstituting a percentage of that spending immediately. I haven't had the time to go look at the bill. I probably won't go look at the bill. I'll keep it real with you guys. I just probably won't. But I don't necessarily know that he's turning on Trump outside of the fact that he's pissed off with Congress and Senate. You got to remember, these are the same people who were fighting him behind the scenes. And when you take a guy like Elon Musk, who literally said, okay, I'm going to go through hell and high water to try and do what's better for the country, I can see him getting agitated. But I'll say this, Elon, if you ever hear what I have to say. Going on X and complaining about it is not how you handle it. What you do is you let them people know that you're going to primary the bad people, and you're going to spend the money to primary them. And then you use your money to influence them in the right direction. Only thing this does is give the deep state and the left ammunition to go after Donald Trump. And I'm interested in seeing what Donald has to say about it. I haven't seen that yet at all. But I'm interested in seeing what Donald has to say. Zelensky condemns brutal Russian rocket attack on apartment buildings that killed 3. I'll tell you this at this point in time with this Russian-Ukrainian war. If we don't stop it soon, and if people like Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal aren't put in jail soon, then you might as well just chalk it up as a loss. Russia's going to go in and they're going to pummel those people. And I don't think anybody's going to be able to do anything about it. I know they want World War III. I know they want all the rest of this foolishness. Trump should pull us out of NATO, get us completely out of it. If they want to go to war with Russia, they'll go to war with Russia. They won't go to war with Russia as long as they know they can't bring us into war. I'm sorry, they just won't. Now, the danger of pulling out of NATO is now China takes a larger place in NATO and starts manipulating and doing what needs to be done. But I think we're going to have to pull out of this, because if I'm Putin, you tried to assassinate me. That's starters. You tried to assassinate me. Then, after you missed on the assassination, I didn't take you out. Then I try to come to the negotiation table. While I'm at the negotiation table, you guys are bombing my bombers. I'm quite frankly, I'm pushing all the way to Kiev, and whatever's in the way is dying. I'm sorry, whatever's in the way is dying. And if I'm not mistaken, they blew up a bridge in Russia today as well. So it's just one of those plays, man, that people gonna have to die. And I don't see any other way around it, because the deep state in America keeps pushing it. You know what I'm saying? It's beyond this. And here we go. Here's the liberalism I was telling you about that is protecting everything else. Like I said yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, it's
a very familiar face is coming back
of the First Amendment against the American people. I did an interview, and I need to release this interview. I'll probably release it. Hell, I might need to just release it at 5. But I did an interview with Antonio Grisolfo, and we talked about how the best way to destroy a nation like America is to weaponize its own laws, rules, and regulations against it. And so the reason why they're in the street protesting is because, quote unquote, they have the right to protest and have the right to free speech, right? But if you won't enforce them standing in the road violating traffic and prosecute them for it, which it won't happen in Minneapolis, Minnesota, because they're being enabled to do it, then they will run roughshod. And so it really leaves you one or two choices, right? You can't let criminals run free in the United States of America. Like you can't have sanctuaries for criminals and sanctuary for terrorists and sanctuary for murderers and rapists and everything else. And so it leaves you two choices. Go in hard and heavy or don't go in at all. I personally believe you're going to have to go in hard and heavy. So this right here is not heavy enough. I'm sorry. This is putting those officers' lives in danger because these leftists are becoming more and more radicalized, and eventually you're going to see them attacking ICE. I'm talking about like shooting, throwing Molotov cocktails, the whole 9 yards. And I think we're right around the corner from it. We're in May, June, July, mid-August. We'll see this start happening. And you have the right to protest. It's a beautiful right to have the right to protest, but what you don't have a right to do is obstruct traffic. What you don't have a right to do is impede people from going where they need to go. If y'all on the sidewalk, cool. If you're not in the street, cool. Do what you need to do. We're going to have to start enforcing the laws on these people, or this is just going to get way out of control and so far out of hand that nobody's going to be able to do anything with it. That's the danger of where we are right now. So as we go into the summer, as it kicks in, and matter of fact, let me go off script real quick because you got this coming. Let me show you what else is coming. We need to go to the weatherman, my weatherman plus. My weatherman plus. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, there's only one weatherman that we watch here on. Let me go home. Let me deal with my hometown for a second.
Afternoon, I'm Lauren McCoy.
And I'm Meg Gatto. A social media video showing what appears to be one of the Orleans jail escapees prompts a search of a home in New Orleans.
Todd Trung joins us with details on the search, which is now in its third week.
Well, Lauren, that social media video spread quickly after it was posted on Sunday, and a source tells Fox 8 that state police searched a home on Agriculture Street in the 7th Ward because of it. The source says officers got tips from relatives who recognized the backdrop in the social media video. According to the Associated Press, when investigators searched the home, they did not find Antoine Massey, but did find clothing they believed he was wearing in the video. Massey and convicted killer Derek Groves are the two remaining escapees who broke out of the Orleans Parish Jail on May 16th. 8 other inmates have been recaptured. Today, Governor Jeff Landry repeated the message authorities have been sending to the fugitives.
What I would urge is that those two quit the hide and seek game that we're playing, turn yourself in, and you'll be able to have your day in court.
Typically what happens is as time goes on, those resources dwindle and dwindle, and they're either forced to do something drastic, like further criminal action, a carjacking to get transportation, rob a store to get money.
And that was security consultant and former Secret Service agent Donald Lane. He says the social media video of Massey is bold but also desperate. Lane believes it shows Massey running out of options and trying to win over public opinion. The reward in this manhunt for Antoine Massey and Derek Groves is now up to $50,000 per fugitive. Reporting live, Todd Trung, Fox 8, Local First.
Let me say this about this issue with Antoine Massey. Everybody thinks that criminals are the dumbest people on the planet. They do dumb things, but the criminals tend to be pretty genius in their own way. So let me say this. In no way, shape, or form do I support anybody who decide they want to break out of prison. I can't. I think the man should turn himself in. But I know what New Orleans is. And I know there's a high probability that everything this man has said in this video, which I'm going to try and find the actual video, not them reporting on the video, but the actual video. Everything this man said in this video, there's a high probability that he ain't lying about none of it. In fact, if you look at locals in New Orleans and listen to what they have to say, let me let you hear what he has to say.
I'm one of the ones that was let out of GC. What I want to talk about today is as far as why I was in Orleans Parish Jail. I was in custody for almost 8 months. All right, 6 months, something like that. I was in there for theft of a motor vehicle and domestic abuse involving strangulation. That's what I was in Orleans Parish for. Okay, but before I was in Orleans Parish, I was in a jail called St. Tammany Detention Center. All right, St. Tammany Jail here in St. Tammany Parish. That's two different parishes, Orleans and St. Tammany. Okay, today what I want to talk about is that I was on second-degree kidnapping, second-degree rape, domestic abuse, battery involving strangulation, domestic abuse, battery, violation of protective order, right? On this woman right here, her name is Diamond White. That's her name. This is a district attorney drop form right here. And she's not a child. She's an adult, a full adult. I was dating this woman. This is a legalized affidavit saying all allegations against me is false. You remember, all allegations against me is false. I was nowhere around her or none of that during the timing of the date, which was November the 10th of 2024. Okay, so I was in St. Tammany, right, and I was on a regular domestic charge, right. So they put a parole hold on me because I was on a domestic charge. So with that being said,
I'm gonna stop right here and say this. Antoine Massey, you wild for not having like a brick background. You wild as hell for not having a brick back, like a black backdrop, a green black drop. I mean, you wild as hell in the age of social media where they got AI programs that can scan everybody's photos and find and match the background. And you wild as hell considering they got 50 racks on your head to get you. You wild as hell. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to let it keep playing. I don't even know how interested you guys are in a criminal, but I'm going to say this. I can believe what the man is saying. I'm going to tell you how I can believe it, because you got to understand when you're dealing with rank Jezebels, they'll lie on you. And if you already got a jacket, like he already had a jacket, them people just come get you. They'll come get you. It don't matter. And then all that paperwork stuff don't matter. It don't matter that she changed her mind. Oh, well, he was never there. He never did. That shit don't matter. They got you. And they making money off you being there. This is the problem with the prison system in Louisiana that nobody seems to understand. No, they make money off you being there. So they don't give a damn if you locked up in there. That's income. That's income for the state. So they don't care. Federal income for the state coming in the door. And then when them boys up in there, them boys ain't getting nothing. They ain't getting no services. They ain't getting nothing. They don't get nothing. So I could see what he's saying be the truth, being true. Now, what I can't agree with is, bruh, you made your point. Go on, sit back down. You know what I'm saying? You made your plea. You made your point. You actually embarrassed the whole system. Go on, turn yourself in and sit back down, because what's going to happen is it's going to be chopper style soon. You know what I'm saying? Because now you done expose the system, and honestly, them boys will put one in you just so they have to deal with the cover up. You know what I'm saying? They'll put one in you to cover them their dirt up. So now that you done exposed this, like, man, if I was him, I'll pull up to the FBI office. I'll be the dude who pull up to the FBI office on some Raymond Reddington, walk in the front door, take off my hood and do like this and get down on my knees. You know what I'm saying? And just go ahead and get it over with. Because now you done embarrassed the whole system. in the system itself, the reason why it's so hard to beat corruption in a city like New Orleans is because the system feeds itself and it defends itself. It's like a centipede that has all these different little pricks on it. You know what I'm saying? No, like a caterpillar is the best way to design. You know how you have a caterpillar and it's got all the little pricks on it, and no matter where you touch that caterpillar, it's gonna sting you. The system of corruption is a caterpillar in Louisiana, and it's not a red caterpillar or a blue caterpillar. It's whatever color red and blue make. Red and blue make purple. Whatever color they combine to make, that's what it is, and that's all it boils down to. It don't matter. Like, if they want you, they gonna get you. You heard me? If they want you, they gonna get you. It's what makes the place so dangerous. Because you got this element of people like him on one end, then you got the system element, which is even more deadly because they have people like him. But anyway, let me get off of that. I lost my train of thought. See, this is what happened when I go off the rails and I lose my train of thought. What the hell was I talking about? I was trying to make a point. Let me get back. I was talking about the far leftists and how the far leftists have been weaponized, but it was something else I wanted to touch upon. I might cut it off right here because I might not be able to find it because I done lost my train of thought. This is another, again, weaponizing the American justice system. And this is what the globalists have done. They weaponize all the things that make America great against America. I mean, that's federal judge orders Trump administration to continue providing gender-affirming care for transgender inmates, says there's no reasoned analysis for denying. And see what they're daring Donald Trump to escalate. They're daring him to escalate. Oh, he ain't gonna do nothing. You know what I'm saying? And quite frankly, I'm wondering what he's gonna do, because it's getting to the point now where, I mean, if I was him, I would, suspend habeas corpus, and then I would start arresting judges and put them on house arrest, and then we just push everything through. I mean, you've been called a dictator, even though you weren't a dictator. You've been called a Nazi, even though you're not a Nazi. And the reason why they laid out that foundation, he's a dictator, he's a Nazi, he's a dictator, he's a Nazi, he's a dictator, he's a Nazi, because they know inevitably it's going to get to the point, based upon their resistance, that he's going to have to make some decisions that they can, again, turn to and call him a dictator and a Nazi. The problem that they've run into with their media talking points is, you see, America is getting tired of it. America don't agree with paying for nobody to have no gender affirming care surgeries. America don't give a damn about that. I'm sorry, the American people don't care about that. The average person doesn't lay in bed at night and say, oh my goodness, did this guy in prison get the chance to chop off his PDP and get breasts added to him? The American people don't care. And so we're getting ready to get to the point, guys. I'm telling you, I believe this is all coming to a head in the next 60 days. It kind of has no choice. I mean, it really has no choice but for something to come to a head. All right, guys, that's it. Be safe. Keep your head. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. That's what it was. My bad. Weatherman Plus. I want to go to my man, Weatherman Plus. Weatherman Plus. Here he is. Now, I'm not going to steal your whole video.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Mark again here.
Mark, I'm not going to steal your video because I respect you, Mark, but I'm just going to fast forward a little bit because I like me some Mark. Let me get to the hurricane part, Mark. I'm not going to steal. Don't get mad at me, Mark. I'm not stealing, Mark. I promise you. I need you to understand. Here it is right here. Now, I'm going to keep it real with you. Go subscribe to Weatherman Plus. The best weatherman there is. I know they got people who got much more fancier things where they got the little rig and they got all the graphics, and they got some people who got some fancy stuff. And I'm not shoo-shooing the fancy people. It's great. They fancy. But when it come to this man right here is the man. He gonna tell you a month ahead of time. That might be a lie. Mark will probably tell you 2 weeks ahead of time what's coming. He'll tell you in enough time to where he'll be like, okay, there's a possibility it's going to hit on Like this is Wednesday, June 4th. He'll be like, okay, on the 20th, we're going to have a storm here, and the models are showing it's going there. So you can start on the 4th preparing for the 20th, right? No matter what it is, he's going to give you a heads up. So I want you to go and subscribe to Weatherman Plus. I don't even know the dude. You know what I'm saying? I ain't like I hang out and smoke weed with him, hang out and smoke cigars, or anything like we drink together. Ain't none of that. I just appreciate what he does, okay? The point I'm making to you is this. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine the summer of rage combined with the summer of hurricanes. And you have to realize that at some point in time, we're going to see what happened with the HARP weapons again. I don't know if you guys remember, we were seeing the HARP radar shooting, I don't know if it was radio frequencies or magnetic frequencies, where they were warming up this area of the Gulf of Mexico. And then we had these monstrous storms starting to come off, right? And then the sub-Saharan dust came off. That came off because people prayed. I promise you that. Why? That's why. And then they switched and the storm started coming from over here on this side of the map. And they started coming. They started resting in this Yucatan Peninsula. I think that's what Mark calls it, Yucatan Peninsula. And then they started looping and turning and making 90-degree turns and coming back and hitting all kinds. Listen, the people who did it last year going to do it again this year. I'm sorry, they're going to try it again this year because they wicked people. So if you're on the coast, get your stuff together. I mean, even if you, the way these things work, I mean, if you're not on the coast, if you're on the coast and a 5 come, it's going to punish you. But that same 5 will punish everything from Louisiana all the way up the East Coast. It's going to punish you. Remember the last hurricane? They left them people out there all the way into the winter where it was freezing. If I'm not mistaken, it's in like North Carolina, the border of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Appalachian Mountains. They left them people out there. Now, I don't think that's going to happen this time because Joe Biden is not president. You don't have a liberal over FEMA, which does FEMA still exist anymore? I think he got rid of FEMA. You don't have that kind of issue, but it doesn't mean that we won't have that type of assault because we have weather warfare going on. And it's important to understand that it can not only be the deep state that's provoking this weather warfare. It could be Russia. It could be China. It could be any nation at this point in time. And quite frankly, if I'm President Putin and Lindsey Graham done laid up there and went and hollered at Zelensky and had him bomb my nuclear jets or my nuclear bombers, yeah, I send a hurricane. I'm going to send a hurricane straight at your behind. Do something about it. I can't bomb you, so guess what? I'm going to send weather weapon. I'm sending everything. I'm trying to have an earthquake in the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of America. Excuse me, Gulf of America. I'm sending everything at you. And we have to be mindful of this is the environment that we're in. You're in a time of war, and so behave like you're in a time of war. I mean, if we don't, then we'll have a problem, in my opinion. We have a major, major problem. Let me just see if he's showing there's a wave coming and going in. It's not organized. Look how it organizes itself right, or tries to organize itself right there. All right, go ahead and watch Mark. He'll explain it to you. Low pressure system, 111 millibars, and it's trying to form itself. So go watch Mark. That's enough. Thank you, Mark. We appreciate you. Subscribe. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Deuces.